The Grand Council Hall of the galaxy was brighter than a star. Tall silver pillars reached high into the glowing ceiling. Hundreds of alien leaders sat in floating seats, watching the center floor. Today was important. Today, humanity would surrender. The Zoran Empire had crushed 3 human colonies. Their fleets burned in space. Their stations were silent. The galaxy believed Earth was finished. Heavy doors opened. A single human woman walked inside. She was small compared to the armored Zoran guards. She wore simple dark clothes. No weapons. No armor. No soldiers behind her. Just her. Murmurs spread across the chamber. That is the human envoy. She looks fragile. She looks afraid. The Zoran commander, a tall being covered in dark red scales, leaned back in his throne. His sharp teeth showed as he smiled. "This is disappointing," he said loudly. "We expected a warrior." The woman continued walking. Her steps were calm. Slow. Steady. She did not rush. She did not bow. When she reached the center of the hall, she stopped. Her eyes moved across the chamber. She studied every leader in silence. The council master spoke. "State your name, human." Her voice was soft but clear. "Arya Vale." The name meant nothing to most of them. The Zoran commander laughed. "Arya Vale. You stand before the most powerful empire in the galaxy. Your people are defeated. Kneel, and we may allow your species to survive." Laughter echoed across the chamber. Arya did not react. "I am not here to kneel," she said calmly. The laughter grew louder. A Zoran guard stepped forward. "You misunderstand your position, human." He grabbed her arm roughly. The movement pulled her sleeve back. For a second, no one noticed. Then someone gasped. On her forearm was a tiger tattoo. It was detailed and alive with color. Golden eyes. Black stripes. Sharp white teeth. The tiger looked as if it was watching the room. The laughter faded. The Zoran commander narrowed his eyes. "What is that mark?" Arya slowly looked at her arm, then back at them. "Recognition," she said quietly. A few older leaders shifted in their seats. They remembered stories. Years ago, during the Orion War, an entire invading fleet disappeared. No wreckage. No signals. No survivors. Only one thing was found drifting in space. A metal plate marked with a tiger's eye. The Ghost Legion. It was a rumor. A myth created to scare enemies. The Zoran commander's smile slowly disappeared. "That unit was destroyed," he said firmly. Arya gently pulled her arm free from the guard's grip. The guard stepped back without knowing why. "No," she replied. "It was never destroyed." The lights in the chamber flickered. Several leaders looked at their wrist displays. Alerts were appearing across their systems. Unknown ships entering the outer defense zone. No warp signature. No engine trail. Just appearing. The Zoran commander barked orders into his communicator. "Activate planetary shields. Launch defense squadrons." Outside the council station, space looked calm. Peaceful. Then Zoran warships began losing contact. One by one. No explosions. No distress calls. They simply vanished from the tactical map. Inside the chamber, fear began to spread. "What is happening?" someone whispered. Arya stood perfectly still. "The mistake," she said softly, "was believing humans fight fair." The main screen behind the council activated on its own. It showed dark shapes moving between stars. Human ships. Sleek. Silent. Surrounded by faint glowing lines shaped like claws. The tiger tattoo on Arya's arm began to glow with a faint golden light. Gasps filled the hall. "You came here alone?" the council master asked. Arya's eyes were cold now. "I never came alone." Another alert sounded. Zoran Prime's outer fleet had fallen. In less than 5 minutes. The Zoran commander stood up in rage. "This is an act of war." Arya finally allowed herself a small smile. "No," she said. "This is the end of one." Silence swallowed the chamber. For the first time, the galaxy did not see a weak human woman. They saw something else. And it made them afraid. Silence held the Grand Council Hall like a heavy weight. No one laughed now. The great Zoran commander stood frozen, staring at the glowing tiger on Arya Vale's arm. The golden light moved slowly across the ink, like it was breathing. More alerts flashed across the chamber screens. Outer defense grid, offline. First battle group, no signal. Long-range cannons, disabled. The Zoran officers shouted into their communicators, but nothing answered them. Arya stood calm in the center of the hall. She did not move. She did not raise her voice. She simply waited. The council master leaned forward, his pale face tight with fear. "Human commander, explain this." Arya looked at him, her eyes steady. "You attacked 3 human colonies," she said. "You destroyed civilian ships. You believed we would beg." She slowly lowered her sleeve again, though the golden glow still escaped through the fabric. "You were wrong." The Zoran commander slammed his fist against his throne. "This is impossible. Our scanners saw nothing." "Yes," Arya replied. "That is the point." Across the system, dark human vessels drifted between the Zoran fleet like silent hunters. They did not fire large beams. They did not create bright explosions. Instead, small pulses of light touched Zoran ships. Then systems died. Engines shut down. Weapons powered off. Life support remained active. Humans were not destroying the fleet. They were removing its ability to fight. Inside the council hall, panic began to spread. Several alien leaders stood from their seats. "You promised security," one shouted at the Zoran commander. "You said humans were weak," another accused. The commander ignored them. His eyes stayed locked on Arya. "The Ghost Legion," he said quietly. "We erased that unit from our records 20 years ago." "You erased the record," Arya answered. "Not the soldiers." She took one small step forward. Guards lifted their weapons, but none dared to fire. "If you attack me," she said calmly, "the next thing you will see is your home world's shield falling." The tiger tattoo pulsed brighter. Far above Zoran Prime, 3 massive human ships revealed themselves for the first time. They had been invisible, hidden within the planet's own shadow. Their hulls carried the same tiger symbol. The planetary shield flickered. The council master's voice shook. "How many ships do you have in our system?" Arya tilted her head slightly. "You assume this is all of them." The main screen changed again. New signals appeared across nearby sectors. Human fleets emerging near key Zoran military bases. Not attacking. Just watching. The message was clear. The Zoran Empire was surrounded. The commander's anger slowly changed into something else. Fear. "You planned this," he said. "For years." Arya did not deny it. "When the Orion War ended, we learned something," she said. "The galaxy respects power. Not kindness." She looked around at every alien leader in the chamber. "So we became powerful." Another alert sounded. Zoran Prime's orbital cannons were now under external control. Human control. Gasps echoed through the hall. "You hacked our systems," the commander demanded. Arya gave a small nod. Your engineers trained in our academies. Your traders used our networks. You invited us into your systems long ago. The commander staggered back a step. The humans had not attacked with brute force. They had waited. They had learned. And now they had taken everything in a single, quiet strike. The council master swallowed hard. What do you want? At that question, Arya's expression changed slightly. Not anger. Not pride. Something colder. Justice, she said. Outside, the final Zoran warship in orbit powered down. Its weapons went dark. Its engines died. In less than 15 minutes, the strongest fleet in the sector had fallen without a single explosion. Inside the hall, no one moved. Arya's voice remained soft, but it carried through the chamber. You laughed when I entered. She looked directly at the Zoran commander. You called humanity weak. Her eyes seemed to glow as bright as the tiger on her arm. But the tiger does not roar before it hunts. Silence returned. And this time, no one dared to break it. The Grand Council Hall no longer felt powerful. It felt small. The galaxy's greatest leaders sat in silence while their screens filled with red warnings. Zoran fleets across 3 sectors were losing control. Ship after ship went dark. Still, there were no explosions. No fire. No screams across open channels. Just silence. The Zoran commander slowly sat back down. His claws trembled against the metal armrest of his throne. You disable us, he said quietly. But you do not destroy us. Arya Vale stood unmoving in the center of the chamber. Destruction is easy, she replied. Control is harder. The tiger tattoo on her arm glowed faintly again. The golden lines shifted like moving light underwater. Far above Zoran Prime, human ships moved into perfect formation. They did not aim weapons at cities. They did not charge cannons. Instead, thin beams of blue light extended from their hulls toward the planet's orbital defense ring. One by one, the massive cannons rotated. Not toward space. Toward the Zoran command fleet. Gasps spread through the hull. You turned our own defenses against us, the council master whispered. Arya's voice remained calm. Your systems were never as secure as you believed. In orbit, the Zoran High Command ship tried to fire its emergency thrusters. Nothing happened. The controls were frozen. Across multiple sectors, Zoran outposts reported the same problem. Weapons locked. Engines locked. Communications filtered through human encryption. The Ghost Legion was not attacking like an army. It was moving like a shadow inside every machine. The Zoran commander forced himself to stand. This is cowardice, he shouted. Fight us openly. Arya finally turned fully toward him. Her expression did not change. You invaded human space without warning, she said. You bombed colonies at night. You targeted hospitals and transport ships. Her eyes hardened. We learned from you. The commander's breathing grew heavy. You could destroy us right now, he said. Yes, Arya answered. A new alert appeared on the main screen. Zoran Prime's planetary shield had dropped to 20%. Human ships did not fire. They simply waited. The council leaders began speaking among themselves in fear. If the Zoran fall this easily, what chance do we have? They were the strongest empire. Arya listened to every whisper. That was the real message. The Ghost Legion did not just defeat enemies. It made examples. Suddenly, the main holographic display shifted again. This time, it showed footage from a distant Zoran military world. Human drones moved across its surface, disabling missile silos one by one. Not destroying cities. Not harming civilians. Only removing weapons. The council master stared at Arya. You planned a full removal of their war power, he said slowly. Yes, she replied. For how long, he asked. Arya paused for the first time. Since the first human child died in your border raid. The words were simple. But they carried weight. In orbit, the last Zoran heavy cruiser powered down. Its massive guns went silent. Across the sector, thousands of Zoran warships floated powerless in space. The tiger tattoo on Arya's arm brightened again. Then something new happened. The Zoran planetary shield flickered, and shut off completely. A clear path now existed from space to the surface of Zoran Prime. The chamber filled with fear. The Zoran commander dropped to one knee. Not in respect. In shock. You win, he said quietly. Arya did not smile. This was never about winning, she replied. Human ships descended slowly toward the planet's upper atmosphere, not to bomb, not to invade, but to take control of military centers directly. Precision. Perfect timing. No chaos. No panic among civilians. The galaxy had expected humans to fight with anger. Instead, they fought with patience. The council master leaned back in his chair, his voice barely steady. You do not just defeat your enemies, he said. You erase their ability to threaten you ever again. Arya turned toward the assembled leaders one last time. The tiger does not hunt for sport, she said quietly. It hunts to end the threat. And as the final Zoran command signal went dark across the stars, the galaxy understood something terrifying. Humans had not entered this war unprepared. They had been waiting. And they had seen everything. The war was over. But the fear had just begun. Inside the Grand Council Hall, no one spoke. The screens no longer flashed with warnings. They showed something worse. Complete silence across the Zoran military network. Every fleet disabled. Every weapons platform under human control. Every command system locked. The Zoran Empire was still standing. But it could not fight. Arya Vale remained in the center of the chamber, calm as ever. The golden tiger on her arm slowly faded back to simple ink, as if it had gone to sleep. The council master studied her carefully. You could have destroyed them, he said quietly. You had full access to their cities. Their shields were down. Yes, Arya replied. Then why didn't you? She looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of every alien leader. Because destruction creates martyrs, she said. Control creates peace. The words settled heavily in the air. The Zoran commander still knelt, his pride shattered. You have taken our fleets, he said bitterly. What more do you want? Arya turned to him slowly. Your empire will sign a full military surrender, she said. All expansion fleets will be dismantled. All slave labor camps will be dissolved. Reparations will be paid to the human colonies you attacked. Murmurs spread across the council. This was not revenge. This was punishment with structure. You plan to rule us, the commander whispered. Arya shook her head. No. We plan to protect ourselves. She stepped toward the central holotable. With a small gesture of her hand, the display changed. It showed human space over the last 20 years. Colonies rebuilding. Defense platforms hidden inside asteroid fields. Research stations developing new AI systems. The Ghost Legion was never just a fleet, she explained. It was a promise. The tiger tattoo shimmered faintly again. It is connected to our command network, she continued. Every Legion officer carries one. It links directly to our secure quantum systems. We do not shout orders across open channels. We think them. Several leaders stiffened at that. You control fleets with your mind, one whispered. With permission and safeguards, Arya replied. And with discipline. The council master leaned forward. Why show us this? Why reveal your advantage? Arya's eyes were steady. Because today is not only a warning for the Zoran. The chamber grew colder. If another empire chooses to attack human space, she continued calmly, the response will be faster. The message was clear. The Ghost Legion had only shown a fraction of its power. A new signal appeared on the screen. Zoran Prime's main military command center had formally transferred control to human oversight. No bombing. No chaos. Orderly surrender. The Zoran commander slowly stood, though his shoulders were heavy. You fight without rage, he said. Arya's expression softened slightly. Rage makes mistakes. Outside, human ships began repositioning. Instead of surrounding the planet like predators, they moved into defensive orbit, facing outward. Protecting the system from outside threats. Not occupying it like conquerors. The council leaders noticed. You are shielding them, one asked in disbelief. For now, Arya answered. Until stability returns. The galaxy watched this through live transmission. For the first time, humans were not seen as a weak, emotional species. They were seen as calculated. Patient. Dangerous. But controlled. The council master lowered his gaze. The balance of power has shifted, he said quietly. Arya did not deny it. It already shifted the day you underestimated us. She stepped back toward the center of the chamber. The tiger on my arm is not a threat, she said. It is a reminder. A reminder of what? The Zoran commander asked. Her eyes locked onto his. That humans prefer peace, she said. But we prepare for war. Silence filled the hall once more. The empire that had once made the galaxy tremble now stood quiet under human control, not destroyed, but humbled. And in that moment, every leader present understood something new. The tiger did not roar loudly. It waited in the tall grass. And when it moved, it was already too late. The live transmission spread across every known system. Billions watched. The Grand Council Hall, once a place of pride and power, now felt like a courtroom. At the center stood one human woman. Arya Vale did not look like a conqueror. She did not stand on a throne. She did not wear a crown. She simply stood straight, calm, and silent. Above the chamber, the main holographic display showed a single message confirmed across Zoran space. Full military surrender accepted. A sound like a deep breath passed through the council. The strongest empire in 3 sectors had fallen in less than an hour. Not burned. Not shattered. But completely disarmed. The Zoran commander walked slowly to the center of the chamber. His heavy armor had been removed. He carried no weapon. He stopped a few steps away from Arya. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then, slowly, he lowered his head. Not forced. Not pushed. He chose to. The Zoran Empire acknowledges defeat, he said in a low voice. We will comply with all conditions. Across the galaxy, silence followed. Empires did not kneel. But today, one did. The tiger tattoo on Arya's arm glowed once more, brighter than before. Not as a threat. As confirmation. Human ships in orbit received the signal. Automated systems began restoring limited control back to Zoran's civilian authorities. Hospitals powered back to full capacity. Trade networks reopened. Weapons systems remained locked. But life continued. The council master rose slowly from his seat. You have proven your strength, he said carefully. What now, Commander Vale? Arya looked around the chamber one last time. Her voice was calm. Now we reset the balance. The holographic display changed again. A new treaty draft appeared in front of every leader. The Human Defense Accord. It was simple. Any attack on civilian worlds would be answered immediately. Any empire using slave labor would face total military shutdown. Any border invasion would trigger automatic Legion response. But it also included something else. Shared technology for peaceful use. Joint security patrols. Open trade under protection. A choice. Fear, or cooperation. The council leaders exchanged uncertain glances. One by one, they began signing. Not because they loved humanity. Not because they trusted them. But because they understood something clearly now. Humans did not bluff. The Zoran commander looked up slowly. You could have erased us, he said again, almost as if trying to understand. Arya met his eyes. Yes. Why spare us? She paused. Because fear builds enemies, she said. Respect builds order. Outside, the massive human fleet slowly rotated away from Zoran Prime. Their formation changed. Not facing the planet. Facing deep space. Guarding. Not conquering. The tiger tattoo dimmed, returning to still ink. The moment had passed. Across the stars, news networks repeated the same image over and over. A single human woman standing in the center of the galaxy's most powerful chamber. Unarmed. Unshaken. Victorious. The council master finally lowered his own head slightly toward her. Not fully kneeling. But enough. A sign. And then, slowly, other leaders followed. Some bowed deeply. Some only lowered their gaze. But all of them acknowledged one truth. Humanity was no longer the weak species on the edge of space. They were a power that moved in silence. A power that watched. A power that waited. Arya turned and began walking toward the exit doors. No guard stopped her. No one laughed. No one spoke. As the doors opened, light from the stars spilled into the chamber. Before stepping through, she paused briefly. Without turning around, she said one final sentence. We never wanted the galaxy to kneel. She glanced at the faint reflection of the tiger on her arm. We only wanted it to think. Then she walked out. And for the first time in history, the galaxy did.